Well, it's time to do some budgeting, some foreshadowing financially. And, I think it's important to know what's going on with the president and all of these bills that they're signing and stuff. So, I don't want to get blindsided because of some unexpected expenses or taxes I didn't account for. Apparently, the government's doing something special to make sure that they get the inflation down. But I'm a little concerned because if you really want to see inflation go down and big bills are being passed, do you really believe that this guy knows what he's doing? Before we get into this video, make sure you hit like, share my videos, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Also, make sure that your notifications are on and they're set to all. Now, let's get into this. But first, quick commercial break. The media is trying their best to shut down the most recent mass shooting news story. You might have heard about the American hero that shot and killed a mass shooter in the Indiana mall, who brought it on himself. And the media, they don't want this story to go viral because they know the solution to mass shooters is more guns. And this is why I snatched a support the second coin. Woo-wee, look at that, y'all. It's hot. There's no collectible on earth more fit for Second Amendment activists and gun owners than the support the second coin. It's an eye-catching collector's coin with pro-gun rights engravings and quotes on both sides of it. Now, the support the second coin usually retails at $24.95, but it's free right now as a way to promote the launch the supportthesecondcoin.com new website. And guess what, y'all? Every viewer of this video is eligible to get their own support the second coin completely for free, but only for a limited time. I got mine. Get yours now before they run out by simply going to www.supportthesecond.com or visiting the link down below. Now, even though this is beautiful, I love it, but we got to get to the video. What's going on, America? Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make some sense out of nonsense. Yeah, and this is a big responsibility, man, when you're dealing with the American people and their budgets and their housing and their bills and their cars and their jobs and the economy. You got to be careful when you're dealing with people's lives, because sometimes Democrats, they handle people's lives like they were just, toys or chess pieces or something like that. They just look at them as a means to an end, move them around on the board. So I'm always a little, suspect about when the Democrats, pass some type of bill and they tell us that it's for you. We're trying to help y'all out. None of our policies led to the current situation, but we're here to relieve you of that pressure, okay? We're here to get you out of it. Someone that has the ability to do that would have to be very competent, especially when you're signing mega bills that could result in all kind of fallout negatively for the people. So I would think that the person making these choices would be competent and know what they're doing. But unfortunately, we got this guy. Do you trust this dude to do your budget?
I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives.
For the worse, that guy right there, you see Dumpster Juice riding his dumpster mobile, floating down there in that dumpster boat. That's right, creepy, sleepy, sleazy, slimy Joe, floating where he needs to be, which is in a dumpster. His bill that he passed and his policies and his presidency and his staff are all dumpster juice. So since a lot of these big major bills are very vague, but they're extensive. See, the average person, they're not going to be able to read all of that. Even these Democrats, they don't know it. We're going to find out as we watch the video. They don't know what's in the bill either. But it's good to have a good breakdown and summary of it, so you're not blindsided when some of the results of passing this type of bill hits you. So we're going to go ahead and do our best to condense everything you need to know about this Inflation Reduction Act that they passed under, I say, maybe let's try to do it under 20 minutes. Okay, here's that big old mask.
And I'm about to sign the Inflation Reduction Act into law, one of the most significant laws in our history. We're in a session of, for a while, people doubted whether any of that was going to happen. But we are in a season of substance.
This guy's handling the budget. Oh, there he is, signing something. I wonder if he knows what he's signing. What am I signing here? Can he find a pen this time? Okay, let's check out some body language here. Okay, look at Mr. Burns leaning in. I think Chuck Schumer is concerned that that man ain't even signing his real name. See, he gotta watch it. Yeah, you think you'll know what he's doing right there?
You ever see a guy like so old he has like that permanent look of horror on his face?
Like that one? Look at that. Unbelievable. Yeah. Now, you know what? I know we weren't supposed to be laughing at that, but I can't help it because, see, they stuck Joe out there. They're trying to make us think that there's nothing wrong with this man. They're trying to make us think that this man is capable of understanding that type of legislation, the impact of it, the importance of it, all of that stuff, when he could barely even sign that. You saw Chuck Schumer's body language, lean in and look. I mean, he was probably waiting just in case Joe just put an X for his name. Obviously, Joe is compromised mentally. It's like they have to watch him constantly, and they have him signing bills like that. And then you see him turn to give the ink pen to somebody else like, I don't even know what to do with this. That man is hurting mentally, but they're trying to pretend like ain't nothing wrong and want us to put our faith in this bill. So then my question becomes, if Joe doesn't seem competent enough to sign legislation like this, then who is the competent person? Who came up with this idea? Surely it wasn't Nasty Pelosi. Who in the White House has told Joe, go out there and sign this piece of legislation. Don't worry about what's in it. That's my question. Because if it's not Joe, then who is it? But let's continue, because I'm sure that liberals are excited about this legislation. So we better go ahead and take a look inside and see what it's really about and how it's going to bless our lives.
They might as well put a sign on his desk saying, this guy has no idea what he's doing right now.
True,
because he didn't, and it couldn't have been more obvious. The 1,000-yard stare was the giveaway. There were doughboys in Verdun who looked less shell-shocked than Biden just did.
The idea that
okay. Get that mess out, Joe. Let it out. He's taking his time, gathering his thoughts.
But the nature, not...
It's due to emotions.
When...
He's sensitive.
The political coverage...
What?
That
look, brain was hurting. Oh, God.
Some of the political...
He's signing legislation.
Some of the...
Do you trust that?
Let me ask a rhetorical question.
Okay.
No, I won't.
Oh, God. How can you defend that? How can you, as a voter, honestly feel confident in this legislation that they just signed? I don't understand how you can defend this guy and trust that he knows what's going on and is running our country. That was a good montage of like a good, 45, 50 seconds, maybe even a minute of him going, the idea, let me think about it. He's compromised, but you know what? It doesn't stop his people in his cabinet for faking it and coming out trying to cover for him and the fake news. So let's see what Black Gay Drop has to say about this new legislation.
But let me ask you, it's called the Inflation Reduction Act, but the Congressional Budget Act Office, which is nonpartisan, said that there would be a negligible impact on inflation this year and barely impact inflation at all next year. I mean, isn't it almost Orwellian? How can you call it Inflation Reduction Act when the nonpartisan experts say it's not going to?
So I appreciate that. I appreciate the question. We've actually addressed this, the CBO. It was the top line number. There's more in there that shows that it will have the money from. Remember how we're doing this too. It's making sure that billionaires in corporate America are paying their fair share, making sure that the tax code is a little bit more fair. And so when you do that, when you put it in its totality, you will see that it will bring down, lower the deficit, which will help fight inflation.
Why is it that if things are getting better, so many Americans are unhappy with President Biden's handling it?
Because he sucks.
So, we'll say this, we have said this before. It's like, we get it. We understand what the American people are feeling at this time. This is a number one priority. Inflation has been a number one priority for this president. Lowering costs has been a number one priority for this president.
Now, did you see Black Gay Drop trying to come out there? They don't even know what's in this bill. All of that paper, you think Black Gay Drop knows what's going on? She knows about 4 or 5 talking points. Anything besides that, pull the parachute. So here she comes out trying to tell us, no. See, instead of me explaining in depth how this is really going to benefit you all and how it's not really going to tax you guys and hurt the middle class, what I'm going to do is distract you by saying we're making the billionaires and trillionaires pay their fair share. That is the number one go-to. These people who sign this legislation, do you think they're really putting this stuff in place to go after their buddies, the billionaires and the trillionaires, to be donating for them? Do you think those big donors and those lobbyists would actually support these Democrats if they knew that these Democrats were going to put legislation out there to destroy their pockets? No, we're about to find out who it really hurts in a second, since Black Gay Drop ain't keeping it real with us. Let's see if we can get more information out of baby New Year's ears. Yeah.
And yeah, people will start to feel this if they take advantage of the tax credits. So, for example, if you are, if you're somebody who has wondered whether you should put solar panels on your...
What? Solar panels? Hold up, wait a minute. The average cost of solar panels are what? $3 to $5 per watt, totaling $15,000 to $20,000 for the typical 5 kW system. Now, I'm a little concerned about that. That don't seem like a benefit to me. So this is all conditional in regards to how it's going to help you financially. And it seems to all revolve around you committing to buying more stuff and increasing your outgoing finances. You got to purchase stuff before you get a blessing. Hold on.
There is a 30% tax credit for you to be able to do that. If you are of low or moderate income, it may be more. It may be more for you to be able to install a heat pump. The heat pump may be fully covered. There's income levels, etc. There'll be guidance about this for people.
I'm not buying it. How much does a heat pump cost? Oh, totaling $5,690.
I mean, the electric vehicle pieces of things, when you look at the gas prices.
Those ears. I'm looking at those ears. That's what I'm looking at, those ears.
It is just very significant when you think about being able to drive for essentially $1 a gallon. And there are lower cost models. I mean, I drive a Chevy Bolt, and that MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price.
So you're the...
Price for that is like $28,000.
What? Chevy Bolt owners, okay, opt the rebate waivers.
You add
okay.
a $7,500 tax credit.
Okay.
In some states, there are 14 states that have additional tax credits. Might be $2,000, might be $4,000. Now that's in an affordable range if you have to get a new car, and then you'd only be paying the equivalent of $1 a gallon by charging it up. That is a much more. That saves you thousands of dollars every year.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but do y'all see that gaslight? This woman's trying to sell us on this and tell us this is a benefit to you guys, and all you have to do is make a small investment of about $40,000 or $50,000, and then you might get a couple tax credits too. Don't forget, you got to give up your vehicle and get you an electric vehicle, okay? Because it's not even that much. But wait a minute, if that's the case, if you're supposed to get these kickbacks, Ford raises electric truck prices by up to $8,500 after Democrats pass $7,500 tax credit. See, now here we go. So then, technically, you're not getting that money back because all the car companies are going to do is raise their prices to compensate. And that probably is the same when it comes down to this so-called inflation reduction bill, because it appears that everything else is going to go up to compensate for that. So technically, even though you might not be paying more on your taxes, you're paying more for products and services, right? Well, let's see how we can maybe go to baby New Year's ears, because she might have some more additional information.
That saves you thousands of dollars every year.
There are 3 independent studies, though, that show it's actually going to have a minimal effect on inflation.
Minimal.
And that many parts of the bill obviously don't even take effect until next year, some years later than that. So what specifically will this bill do to lower costs for Americans right now?
First of all, immediately, people will be able to lower the fuel costs in their home.
Confident.
There's a 30% tax credit that you can claim in 2022 for installing energy efficient windows,
you know, JoJo,
energy efficient appliances.
Okay, what happened was
that is right away. And on top of that, of course, if citizens want to install solar panels on their roofs so that they can generate their own power, that's another 30% tax credit. And of course, there's the tax credits that are at the dealership for the automotive sector, for electric vehicles. So, and if you install an electric vehicle charging station in your home, you can also get a tax.
That's a lot of stuff you got to do, and a big investment you have to make just so you can get a couple tax credit breaks and stuff. So technically, you're not going to get any benefit off of this immediately at all. at all unless you make a substantial investment. And then you may get some tax credits here or there. Okay. But you got to kind of rearrange your whole life and make big investments and upgrades to your house, your car, and all of that stuff. And nobody stopped this from passing. All the folks who went out and voted for this administration, I wonder if they're sitting back watching baby New Year's ears gaslight us by telling us, oh, well, shit, man, look, you want to know what's going on? All right, look. You gonna what kind of credits you gonna get, man? I can't believe you would ask me something like that. Okay, all right. If you make a small investment of, it sounds like she's trying to sell us on some multi-level marketing scheme. Now look, you're gonna get rich, you're gonna make a lot of money, and all you gotta do is make a small investment of $17,000. And then over time, if you work hard, in 15 years, you might see a return on your investment. Baby New Year's ears just tried to gaslight us. We better go to some more reliable sources to find out what's in this bill and how it's going to impact inflation.
The title of the bill, Inflation Reduction Act, is a lie, and everybody knows it. 12% of Americans think this bill is going to reduce inflation. 40% think it's going to make it worse. Pretty hard to go out and tout a bill where the essential premise of it is a lie.
Baby New Year's ears.
Second thing, which I'll mention, is what is this bill about? It's a climate bill, all right?
Yeah, it is.
Where does climate rank on the number of the issues that Americans are most concerned about? Not even in the top 11. Okay, so Democrats are celebrating hundreds of billions of dollars going to subsidies, by the way, for climate items. Why subsidy? Why do we need subsidies if renewable energy is so incredibly inexpensive and things?
Question.
Because it isn't. This is a hoax that's being perpetrated on the American people.
Like many
we
others
have unbelievably cheap and bounteous fossil fuels in this country. That's what we should be doing right now. In addition to these transition fuels. All of the above.
What's number 3?
All right, how about special interest? Yesterday, again, Joe Biden says, oh, the American people won here, special interest lost. Let's talk about private equity and hedge fund characters who still, billionaires all, who have maintained against every odds.
Are those the billionaires and trillionaires they mentioned?
Carried interest deduction or loophole, even though everybody in the world, including a lot of people in that industry, think it's pretty much a ridiculous thing. But there they are.
Do they really?
Oh,
they do. Industry, they like paying that very low.
Oh, what do you think? Well, how do you think they made all those billions?
But they don't think it's ridiculous, do they?
No, and all right, I will close with this. Any White House that thinks that arming and adding 87,000 IRS agents to plague small businesses and middle-income Americans, because, by the way, there are only 400 billionaires. You don't need 87,000 troops to go out and rattle their cage. I just think that's the most ridiculously unpopular thing I've ever seen.
Y'all hear that? Now it sounds like we've been hoodwinked. See, because we just watched Black Gay Drop get out there and talk about we're going after the billionaires and the trillionaires and stuff to make sure they pay their fair share with that loophole in there for them. Not to mention they've been hired a whole bunch of IRS people so they can go after who? Those 400 billionaires and trillionaires running around? I don't think they need all of those people to go after them. So who are they going to be going after? Black Gay Drop? That's my question. And y'all also tried to slide in some climate change. No wonder Big Baby New Year ears was out here and everything she said we needed to do to get that tax credit or that relief immediately all seemed to revolve around the Green New Deal. All seemed to revolve around climate change upgrades and things like that. Do you ever get the feeling that you've been hoodwinked and deceived by these raggedy politicians? And unfortunately, we're going to get to the bottom of some of the people who was behind this that helped make this happen. Starting off with who?
Well, if you were wanting to go and forcibly take tax dollars from regular Americans while giving the richest elite a pass, you probably would arm up the IRS. Yeah, Joe Manchin has gaslit this destruction of our country.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Oh, Manchin's favorability rating has collapsed since Senate passes Democrat tax spending Obama expansion.
Have a look at this footage of Joe Biden signing the U.S. government's latest $739 billion money printing bill. Sorry, not money printing bill. Sorry, I mean the Inflation Reduction
Act.
That's
what it is.
And check out how absolutely with it the president looks, right down to the glassy eyes, which remind me, frankly, more of the time my spaniel was coming out of anesthesia than of a vigorous president in the prime of his life. Oh, and before he handed those pens around, he also took off his mask and then coughed vigorously into his right hand and shook everybody else's hand. But seriously, you gotta ask, how much longer is this going to go on? I mean, between this, the outbursts of anger, and of course, who could forget the falling off his bike when he wasn't even riding in it? Well, you have to wonder when the mainstream media is going to start settling the nation down for the talk instead the media is still covering for Biden, despite the fact that absolutely no one is buying what the Biden White House is selling. More than half of Democrats don't even think that this massive spending bill will cut inflation.
And it appears they don't know what's in it either.
The media is still doing its bit for the White House. Because guess what? They've spontaneously, as if by mass emailed talking point, rechristened the Inflation Reduction Act the Democrats' Climate and Health Bill.
Oh, so we've been hoodwinked, man. Yeah. So once we opened the package, we realized we bought the Green New Deal. All of those idiots who voted for these people, even though they wouldn't have really been in either way, you know, even with these people's votes, it don't matter. They wouldn't have won, but you know how that all goes. But nonetheless, they still need to feel it. They need to know what they've done, what they've bought into, what they contributed to, dang on it. So now it appears that since they couldn't sell us on the Green New Deal up front, before the election took place, they just went ahead and built it in on the back end. And thanks to Joe Manchin's butt, we now have to deal with this mess. Good googly moo. Tucker, he's rational. Go ahead, Tucker. You know what? Make sense of this.
The good news is every once in a while, our government does something you can actually understand. That happened recently when Joe Biden signed a $750 billion piece of legislation called the Inflation Reduction Act. What does the Inflation Reduction Act do? Come on, what are you, slow? The answer is right there in the name.
Yeah.
The Inflation Reduction Act is an act that reduces inflation. It's an inflation-reducing act. And that's welcome news because inflation is indeed a problem. In fact, voters say it's the problem they worry about most. So Congress has decided to reduce it. That's how things work in Washington. You identify a crisis and then you pass a law making it illegal. Now Congress has decided to bring that very same approach to inflation. Just command it to go down. You can imagine how terrified inflation will be when it discovers it's being reduced by our all-powerful Congress. Wait, it'll say in horror. You passed an Inflation Reduction Act? Okay, fine. I surrender. Gas is now $1.50 a gallon. Hamburgers $2 a pound.
Simple as that.
Sorry for the high prices. But in real life, a lot of people are still wondering, how is this going to work? Hillary Vaughn from Fox was wondering that. So yesterday, she caught up with Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Manchin is the man, the single man whose vote made this bill possible.
Thanks, Joe.
When it comes to inflation, is it misleading to call this the Inflation Reduction Act for Americans when it's not going to make their grocery bill cheaper? It's not going to make everyday goods cheaper.
Yeah, break this down, Joe.
Why would it? Well, immediately it's not, but I mean, we never seen anything happen immediately like today. It's turn the switch on and off.
So as Hillary Vaughn pointed out correctly, the law won't immediately make anything cheaper to buy. In other words, it will not reduce inflation. But Joe Manchin didn't deny this. He didn't seem bothered by it. In fact, his response was, why would it? Well, let's see, because you told us it would, you dishonest little creep.
And you are dishonest little creep, just like the whole Democrat Party. See, y'all went out and sold everybody on this garbage right here and then taking a victory lap for nothing. You're taking a lap for complete nothing. And it's like always, they hide all these little small details in their bills. They always got a hidden agenda. It's always some money going to some crazy pet project or something unnecessary. It's always money going to everybody else but the American public. It's always money that has another ulterior motive attached to it. Like perhaps maybe with this whole push for new green energy and revamping our houses and cars and stuff might have some people waiting in the back wings wondering like, man, hurry up and put the infrastructure in place for us and make sure that you force your people into redesigning their whole way of living. And so we can all benefit and profit. No wonder the lady with the big baby New Year's ears got investments in batteries and stuff like that. Nancy Pelosi and all of them know where to invest that. It is crazy how they know where to invest. And just so happen to be pushing policies that would also push their pockets a little higher while taking out of ours. Finish it out, Tucker.
And then you printed another $750 billion of fake money, which is exactly the habit that caused historic inflation in the first place, all this fake money printing. So what's the upside of this bill exactly?
Yes, please tell us.
Joe Manchin didn't say. Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland couldn't explain it either.
Poodle on the head?
This?
I know that those who've been blaming President Biden for the inflation going up are now giving President Biden all the credit for inflation going down.
My man,
so we're moving
good.
things in the right direction already.
And what parts of the bill do you think will quickly work on that specifically?
Next question.
What?
I'm Jamie Raskin. I'll say anything. What parts of the Inflation Reduction Act will actually reduce inflation? Next question, says Raskin. He actually said that out loud, as you just saw.
He did.
In other words, you've caught me lying, and I don't even care.
Nope.
Go away, peasant. So as it turns out, and we hate to break this to you, the Inflation Reduction Act may be a classic example of misinformation.
Yeah, and I'm upset about that. Where's our mis and disinformations are? When they told us that, don't worry, nobody that's making under $400,000 are going to be hit with taxes and stuff. Your taxes aren't going to go up. You're just going to pay for things that are very high. No, this ain't the Green New Deal. It's a Inflation Reduction Act bill. But yet now it's kind of attached to the Green New Energy bill. And then you got Poodle on the top of the head Raskin right there. And this man didn't have one feature or benefit to even talk about because he probably doesn't know. That man doesn't know. None of them know. For some reason, these folks went in there and signed that bill, and I question whether half of them even have the mental capacity to sit and read and understand what's all in that bill. They probably told them the 5 things, the major overall goals and objectives with this bill, and all of those Democrats probably went right in there. Okay, well then let's do it. Let's sign. As long as it's going to benefit us somehow, ain't going to take money from us. Okay, cool. So now we got to go ahead and close with Ron DeSantis' view on the man who signed this bill. Okay, because see, surely we can trust that Joe Biden is competent and he knew exactly what he was doing when he signed the bill, right? So how will we remember this wonderful, magnanimous day when Joe Biden was president and signed this bill?
If you think about Biden, honestly, it's sad when you're watching some of this stuff. I mean, I just think back to some of the other presidents we have. You know, think about like John Kennedy. Yeah. You think, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. You think about President Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Tear down this wall. When I think of Biden, I think of him staring like a deer in the headlights at the teleprompter. End of quote. Repeat the line.
My butt's been wiped. My butt's been wiped. That guy whose butt's been wiped is the guy who just pooped all over us. Okay, that's what he just did with that bill. And he has no idea he did it. No idea. As you can see in the beginning of this video, that man had no idea what he was signing. He didn't know where to give the pen to. He's looking around. I mean, he looked scared. He looked frail. He looked like he don't even know what he's doing or where he is. And they had this man sign that bill. And that's just one of the many decisions that this guy who's supposed to be in control of our country has been making. So then my question is, if he's obviously not able to make these choices and decisions himself, or even understand them at this point, then who is making these decisions? Well, we'll find out. And we're also going to find out if inflation goes down and we all get richer and stuff like under Trump. God bless y'all. God bless America. See y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care. God bless y'all. God bless America. Don't forget to hit that like button. Share my videos. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those good things. And please check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. If you like their products, please click on the link below this video. Put Kevin in a promo code. You'll get a 20% discount. If you'd like to donate to Kevin's Corner, feel free. The links are below this video. If you want to be a part of my $2 a month club, also feel free to do that. All it entails is you simply dropping $2 a month into one of those links below the video. Or if you want, you can drop a nice big fat lump sum in there to offset the stuff that we know goes on with big tech. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Make sure that you are still subscribed. And finally, set your notification button to all, because YouTube is playing games, y'all. Now, God bless you. God bless America. See y'all next time in Kevin's Corner.